Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Growtality Podcast. I'm so excited and really just grateful to share today's podcast topic, which is self-awareness and feedback. And these are two big buckets that seem to come up often in coaching. And so before we get started, I just like everyone to, whether you're driving or listening or walking or watching, take a deep breath in through your nose, hold it, exhale, get your feet kind of settled, your hips kind of settled. If you're sitting down, shoulders back. I used to say to my kids, shoulders back, chin up, a tootie-ta, a tootie-ta, a tootie-ta-ta. So get your wiggle going just a little bit. Get rooted and grounded in your true, authentic self. A nod, a smile, relaxed facial expressions. Most importantly, some breathing. And as we talk about self-awareness, I'm going to refer quite a bit to the book I wrote with Kim Zoller, Enhancing Your Executive Edge. And it's the first chapter. So I will be doing a series of podcasts this year based on each of the chapters, but I'm really just going to be speaking to some key principles, always giving you a tool or something that you can take away and practice and apply. So from self-awareness perspective, how do you know if you're truly self-aware? Because I can think about times in my life where somebody told me something and I thought to myself, like, for example, years passed, I was told I was defensive. And I was like, I'm not defensive. But that was feedback. But it was also, in my mind, I really didn't believe that I was defensive. So it was a lack of self-awareness. So the first and foremost is knowing that self-awareness means that you may have an indicator or a slight indication, which you might have a tendency that, yes, I did react, or yes, I got super emotional, but you might not have ownership of what that feedback truly is. And so we're going to talk about some different terms today. I'm going to give you a tool, and we're going to talk about self-awareness and feedback. And first and foremost, you have to know if you're self-aware. And so, just by design, knowing how you want to be described and being really clear on the attributes that you want to be used is going to help set an intention. So I would recommend writing down 5 key attributes of your personal brand that you truly believe you own and you embody. So if it's confidence, if it's generosity, if it's positivity, if it's strategy, whatever those words are, your value structure, what matters most to you, the first layer is kind of celebrate who you are already naturally so that you can become self-aware of who you want to be and be that even more. So that's the first part. The second part is that you need a tool and a structure to help you, because we do have some areas which we call partial blind spots, meaning we have some awareness, like maybe I know I'm reacting or I'm showing emotion, but it's like a partial blind spot because I don't see it all the way. So the tool I'd like to share with everyone and introduce is called the Johari Window. And it was based from 2 psychologists, Joe and Harry. And basically it's a metaphorical window, and there's 4 sections in that window. The first section, the upper left-hand section, is what they call the open area. And it's things that you know about you, and it's things that other people know about you. So you know that Kerry's wearing a black shirt today if you're watching this video. If you don't, you know that Kerry has a company that's called Growtality because it's written up in the bio of the podcast. But there's just some open things that we share freely, that people know about us. And that's box 1. Box 2, if you really want to think about the areas that are considered blind spots, there's things that you don't know about you that others do. And so again, this could be a partial, you might have some awareness, but for most often, box 2 in the upper right-hand corner of the window would be what we call a blind area. Some things that others may see in you that you may not see in yourself. So there's positives too. It's not always like, something that's not working well or an opportunity. It's just that often when it comes to self-awareness, we're looking to grow. So we want to have continuous improvement and learn. But the blind area would be something someone else sees in you that you don't necessarily see in yourself. For example, I may have a blind spot or a partial blind spot if I talk too much in a meeting or if I lack listening skills. I think I'm present and listening, but someone else may not see that. And so for them, it could be a blind spot. The third box is down on the lower left-hand side, and that is what we call hidden area. And it's something that you know about you, but others do not. And we don't spend a ton of time here when it comes to feedback and gaining self-awareness, because sometimes people are just private and they choose not to share, or they're experiencing something. Again, as a good leader, sometimes it helps to show some level of vulnerability. But if you, let's say, were looking to find a new job, you may have a hidden area where your current employer doesn't recognize or doesn't know because you're not sharing it. You know it, but they don't know it. That would be an example. And then on the bottom right-hand corner, the fourth quadrant is what they call the unknown area, box 4, which is things that you don't necessarily know about you and others don't know about you. It's possibly future state. It hasn't happened yet. In the world of like what we don't know, we don't know. So those two areas on the bottom windows, we tend to spend less time focusing on when it comes to growing your self-awareness and getting feedback, because the above, the two up front, is the things that you can share that you're open with, and also the things that you can uncover as blind spots would be most useful. So I'm just going to read to you a few of the key to-dos from the book that will hopefully help you with an action plan on how you can increase your own level of self-awareness. Number 1, go visit, you can see the Johari Window, but you can do some research and reading on the Johari Window. It's a great feedback model. You have those 4 areas that I talked about. You can write down the characteristics, number 1, of the areas about yourself that you want people to see, as I shared before. The blind spots, you can leave space and ask people to tell you, is there anything, like people that are trusted advisors, close, coaches or someone, how am I showing up? What would you describe? Is there anything that I might not see or I might need to grow? Then also find a person on your team and show them your own self-analysis. And doing this one-on-one is really important. Again, it could be a mentor, it could be a coach, it could be your manager, it could be just a good friend. And talk about your personal brand and how you want to be described. And are there anything that they would add to it? Because that's a really helpful piece of feedback. And also, is there anything that you may not have awareness around or maybe a partial blind spot? I was on a call yesterday and someone said to me that I pushed them. And in my mind, I visualized this diving board, because I remember being a little kid at the diving board at a public pool and climbing all the way up to the top and then being at the edge and not really wanting to jump in. I really wanted to, but then I had this resistance and I had this fear and I was like worried. And I remember my brother ran up and pushed me in. And I guess lifeguards let us get away with that. But as she said that, I thought to myself, I push people they have to do it, but they have to get up there and want to do it. But then I try to push them forward. So anyway, it was really useful feedback because it helped me with clarity on how I want to show up and coach people or lead groups. So that's important for you as well. The next piece that I would say is really important is ask people to help you with uncovering like emotional behaviors that maybe you act impulsively, maybe you get defensive, maybe you're too kind with your time or too generous, or you're not able to say no. So if you have an intuition and you think that there's an area or you've been given feedback in the past, be very specific and ask for that. And then also, if there's anything that you would recommend, this is really important, going forward for my success. This is called feed forward. And Marshall Goldsmith has written a lot about this. But instead of just saying what has happened in the past, is there anything you would recommend this month in order for me to make sure that I'm showing up and delivering and adding value and serving, whether it's a client, a customer, the team? And that could really let the other person give you some feedback, or feed forward, I should say, in an easier tone, because there's 3 things. I would definitely make sure you ask more questions and then listen before jumping right in. I would also recommend that you smile or you nod or you add a little bit more energy when you're on the Zoom room, because sometimes your nonverbals are coming across like it's a very serious and uninterested. So those are some examples. Ultimately, your goal is to get as much feedback as possible. And so when it comes to self-awareness and it comes to feedback, make a list of your trusted advisors, of your own personal board of directors. on the brand called you, and really seek to have a conversation. This is a fun partner activity. Your friends will definitely help you. Your family can easily help you, but your strategic business partners, if you just set up some time, and it could be 15 minutes, and say, I'd love to get some input from you. I really value your perspective. It will also deepen the relationship. So thank you so much for listening to some of your takeaways on self-awareness and feedback. More to come in the future. Have a great week, everyone.